everyone, welcome. You might have already seen in the photos that today we will be learning how to make this baby pajama. It is for a baby of 2 years. So we will see what materials are needed to knit this. First is the yarn. Next you will need number 9 knitting needles, straight and circular. I have used both the needles, same number. Elastic band for this part, waist part, a measuring tape, needle and a few stitch markers. So these are the materials that you will need. So we'll start making this baby pant. We will start by casting on 50 stitches on our knitting needles. We will begin our first row with the ribbing. We'll be making 2 by 2 ribbing. I'm keeping a simple ribbing here. It is not the sharp ribbing. If you want, you can also keep the sharp ribbing. It's just 2 knits and 2 purls. Continue making 2 knits and 2 purls for the entire row, and also make the ribbing for about 13 rows. After completing 13 rows of ribbing, now we are on the right side. So we will increase a few stitches here. First we will make 10 knits. This is the first. 2, 9. Now at the 10th stitch we will increase 1 stitch. Without dropping this loop, make 1 more stitch from the back loop of the same stitch. This is an increase. Next we will again make 10 stitches and we will increase at the 10th stitch. 2, 9 and we will increase at the 10th stitch. Knit a stitch and knit 1 more stitch from the back loop of the same stitch. So you have to continue this till the end. We have done 2 increases now. You will get 2 more increase stitches in the coming stitches, and after that you will get 10 stitches which you have to do knit stitches. 9 and 10. In this last 10 stitch we are not increasing. Going to the next row, on the wrong side we will purl all the stitches. Third row after ribbing, knit 1 and make an increase in the second knit stitch. Knit all the stitches in between. When you reach to the end of the row and when only last 2 stitches are remaining, increase in 1 stitch before you finish. Increase in last but 1 stitch, just the way we did in the previous rows, and finish the row. Next, on the wrong side you have to purl all the stitches. Now it is the 5th row, and in the 5th row we will just go on knitting all the stitches, just making 1 knit stitch in each of the stitch, and we will just be making straight stitches, that is 1 row of knit and 1 row of purl till 14th row. There will be no increases till 14th row, and we will increase a few stitches in the 15th row. So continue making 1 row of knit and 1 row of purl. 14 rows are over. Now we will start the 15th row. Make a knit stitch and increase a stitch in the next. Two stitches made in only 1 stitch. Knit all the stitches in between until only last 2 stitches are left. When you have last 2 stitches, increase in the stitch, knit, and without dropping the loop, make 1 more knit stitch from the back loop of the same stitch. Last stitch will be a knit. So the 15th row is over. Now you will be continuing to make the straight stitches, that is 1 line of knit and 1 line of purl till 24th row, and you will repeat the same on 25th row, that is increasing a stitch in the beginning and increasing a stitch at the end. And this will be done for every 10th row, that is now it is 15. Next you will be doing the same for 25, next for 35, 45, 55 and 65. So 65th row will be the last row of increase. After that make 5 more rows and take your work till row 70. After you complete 70 rows, you have to transfer all the stitches on a stitch holder and repeat the same one more time. You're going to do the same for another leg. Once you complete making both the leg parts, now we have to transfer all the stitches on a circular needle. We will first transfer one part. So we will transfer by knitting them. First stitch was knit. Make an increase in a second stitch. Just increase one stitch, similarly as we did before, and knit all the stitches till the end. At the end, when last two stitches are remaining, increase one more stitch. And all the stitches from this straight needle are now on a circular needle. Now, before we transfer the stitches of one more part on the circular needle, we will just increase two stitches here. Just two stitches, and then we will continue to take even these stitches on the needle. See which is the proper side, and then you can transfer. Now go on transferring the stitches just as we did previously. So once you transfer all the stitches, now you have to join these two parts. Now you have to knit them in rounds. Okay, so we had knitted this part, the first part, while we were transferring the stitches, but for this part we have just transferred them from the stitch holder to the needle. So first we will knit them. Now for that I will start. Here you have two tails. You can cut one of them and start with the other. I will cut this part. And now I will continue with this thread that is remaining with the second part. Okay. So you will just go on working in rounds. Even here you will increase at the beginning and at the end. One stitch at the beginning, this is an increase, and you will knit all the stitches in between, and also at the end of this part, in the last but one stitch, you will increase one more stitch. So continue knitting all the stitches, and after this I will increase two stitches again on this side. Now we will join the two parts. Here this is one and this is the second. Now you have to join them. At this point a few stitches will be very loose, so be careful. Now you have joined the two parts. So now this is a continuous stitch here. There is no gap in between. One side we have joined and the other side is still not joined. So by the end of this row we will join that round also. Before that you have to place a stitch marker here just to know which is your beginning point. This stitch here is our first stitch after we have joined. So this marker will decide your beginning and end of the round, and from here itself you will count the number of rounds that you make further. So knit all the stitches and at the end we will join with the other part. Coming to the end now, this is the last stitch and these two are the stitches that we increased. So these will be a little bit loose. Knit them slowly, and once you knit them, make a knot here with this loose end and also the working end. Now we have to join the two ends. For that, now we will be working in rounds, so we will just be doing the knit stitches. We are not turning back and making the purl side. Push these stitches backwards and pull these stitches towards the front. Now you have to go on knitting. Make the first stitch a little bit tight, pull it, make it tight, and continue knitting in rounds. Now when you reach this part, you have knitted half part. This is the other half part, which after completion till the stitch marker completes one round of knitting. So complete knitting till you reach the marker. So the first round is complete. Now this is the marker where you can identify if your round is complete. Now complete 2 more rounds in the similar way, just making 1 knit stitch in every stitch. So once you are about to complete the second round, stop before 5 to 6 stitches from the marker. Now I am 4 stitches away from the mark stitch. So from here we will start to decrease. I will first decrease in these 2 stitches knitwise. I will knit the central stitch. Now I have 1 stitch from the increase stitch and 1 from the beginning of the next row. So I will make 1 more decrease here. Okay. Now let's shift the central point to the other stitch here. We will keep this stitch as our center stitch. You can mark anywhere just to locate the stitch. And every time you reach this point, you will be decreasing on the either side of this stitch. Now you have to continue making just knit stitches till you reach the other side, that is till you reach the back portion of the pant. This part where we have marked, this is the front part and this one is the back part. So continue knitting all the stitches and again wait and again stop till you have some 4 to 5 stitches remaining at the back side. Coming to the other side center. Now when you reach the center, mark those 2 increase stitches in the middle. It is these 2. There are 2 more stitches to go. Now we will make a decrease in this stitch only 1 time here. In the back side we will decrease only 1 time, but on the front side we will be decreasing 2 times on the either side of the stitch marker. Now you are going to make all the stitches knitwise until you are 2 stitches away from this mark stitch. And 2 stitches till the stitch marker. Now again I will decrease these 2 stitches, knit 2 together and knit this stitch, the marked stitch, which is the central stitch now, and again knit 2 together after that stitch. Okay, so this is the second round of decrease. After this you will continue to work in round till you reach the other half side, that is again the central point here, and again you will decrease 2 stitches here on top of the previous decrease stitch, and you will continue to do this for 6 times in the front. That is, you will make these decreases 6 times. We have already made 2 times, we will make 4 more times, and on the back we will make it 4 times. We have done 1 time and we will make 3 more times. So totally there will be 6 times decrease in the front side and 4 times decrease in the back side. In the front side you will be decreasing 2 stitches, one before the stitch marker and one after the stitch marker, but on the back side there will be a decrease in only 1 stitch at the center. So continue this, that is 4 times decrease in the back side and 6 times decrease in the front side. The 6th round is over, and after that decrease I completed 1 more round, and now this is the next round. So here you can see this was the stitch that was reduced in the previous round. This is the central stitch and this is the other stitch that was reduced. Now we will make a knit 2 together with this stitch, the reduced stitch and the knitted one, like this, and we will make one more knit 2 together here. Okay, so again we decreased 2 stitches here, like this. You can see this line. Now continue making all the stitches knitwise till you again reach this point of the next round. Just go on making knit stitches in all the stitches. Back to the same point. These are the 2 stitches on which we made our decreased stitches in the previous round. Now we will decrease them both together. Just one decrease and continue to knit all the stitches for the entire round. You have to continue making the stitches, knit stitches in rounds for a total of 9 inches. Now it is about 2.5 inches. So you have to continue to make it till the length of 9 inches. Continue to work in rounds. After working for 9 inches, see your central stitch and stop there. Now for the next rounds, you have to make the ribbing. You should go on making one knit and one purl throughout the round. One knit and one purl. Knit, purl. Continue this making one knit and one purl for a total of 3 rounds. 3 rounds with one knit and one purl ribbing are over, and this is the central stitch, which is the beginning of the next round. So for that, first we will make 2 stitches normally. This is a knit and a purl. If you want, you can just mark this stitch for reference. Now we will create a whole stitch to insert the lace later on. For that, keep the yarn forward and make a knit 2 together. Like this. This will create a hole, and then you have to continue for whatever stitches follow. Knit, purl again, one knit and one purl. Continue the ribbing until you reach the other side, and you have to make a decrease with these 2 stitches. So you can even mark this stitch so that you can decrease while you reach this point. Now you continue working in rounds the ribbing, one knit and one purl, until you reach this stitch. You can remove this stitch or you can keep it for a reference. So I will continue working one knit and one purl until I reach this point. So I have reached the point where I had marked 2 stitches, and this is where I have to create another whole stitch to insert the lace or cord. For that, take the yarn forward and make a knit 2 together. This will create a whole stitch like this, and for the next stitches continue as it is, that is whatever the pattern demands. If it is a knit stitch, make a knit stitch. If it is a purl, make a purl. So now you have completed 4 rounds. You have to continue making the ribbing for 2 inches, which may take around 14 to 15 rounds. This is your 5th round now. 5th round has just started. So you can make 10 more rounds. Now I have made a purl. This was the yarn over which we had done for the whole stitch. Next is a purl. This was the knit 2 together, which will now be a purl, and continue with the pattern knit and purl. Continue making this ribbing pattern for 2 inches. So these are my 15 rounds of ribbing. Now we will bind them off. Before that, one thing you have to remember is the length of ribbing. This depends upon the size of the elastic that you are using. This is 1 inch, so I have kept the ribbing 2 inches so that I can easily fold over it. Now we will bind off. I am going to bind off in a stretchy bind off way. I had already done a video on how to make a stretchy bind off. If you have missed it, I will update the link in the description. Please follow it. So bind off all the stitches. So the binding off is done, and I'll show you the measurements. Now this is about 12 inches, that is 24 inches waist. The waist size of a 2-year child will be about 22 to 23 inches. So we can adjust that with the elastic. Let this be a little bit loose for the baby, and the tightness can be adjusted in the waistband. So I have cut the elastic for 22.5 inches, and at least 1 inch or half inch will go in stitching. So you have to stitch this one. You can use a hand stitching or machine stitching, and prepare this elastic. The elastic is now ready. Now you can take the same tail. If you have left a long tail while you cut the yarn, use the same, or you can again thread a needle. Now make the pant inside out and place the elastic, fold it, and go on stitching it. You can see the stitches. Here there is a purl at the end, but here that will be the knit line. So when you fold it, you have to stitch it on the knit line here in this stitch. Okay. Like this. Next, there is a knit stitch on the right side and a purl stitch on the wrong side. So take these two together and stitch. And you have to continue this without skipping any stitch. Knit stitch from here and purl stitch from here. Purl stitch from here and knit stitch from here. So with this pattern you have to continue to stitch completely. This is how it will be on the right side. You can use this method of stitching or any other method which you prefer normally. So purl is over, knit from here. Yeah, knit from here and purl from here. So continue this throughout. So the stitching work is done. This is the wrong side and this is the right side. We are still in the wrong side. Now before we turn our work to the right side, we will stitch all these ends right from this ankle part, from one ankle to other ankle. We will stitch it throughout. You can either use this needle and thread, or you can use a suitable crochet hook to stitch it. It's completely your choice. Stitch all these ends neatly and hide in all these extra tails that are remaining. After that you will also need to make a cord, I-cord. This is a knitted I-cord. I have already shared a video on how to make an I-cord. You can check there. I will update the link in the description. So after I complete this much, that is the stitching work, hiding in the ends and also inserting the cord, I will show the final product. The baby pant or pajama is now ready. I have inserted the I-cord. The stitching is done and you can see the sides. They are neatly sewn and all the ends are hidden inside. So this completes making the pajama. So I hope you liked this video. I hope you understood how to knit a pajama for a baby of 2 years. Thanks a lot for watching. Please subscribe for more videos.